It was quite clear what they were trying to achieve with this. It's called doxing in the jargon, insofar as actually just letting loose people's personal details, because it invites further protests, it invites further attacks potentially. It was quite clear what a kind of provocative move this was, and you just saw all of that kind of online abuse, which J.K. Rowling has been enduring for months, as you say, spill into offline, which is really quite concerning. I mean, as you were saying in your introduction there, she says it's water off a duck's back. And I think with J.K. Rowling, she made a point of saying, actually, that this sort of abuse doesn't bother her because she has the resources, if you like, to protect herself. She could reach out to Twitter and the Scottish police very quickly to deal with a situation like this. The thing that she is concerned about, and I think the thing that we all have to be concerned about, is that the views that she's been demonised for holding are essentially the views of the vast majority of people in this country. She believes that biological sex is a thing. She believes that you can't just become a woman by declaring that you are a woman. And whilst she's fine, people further down the pecking order, even in professions, even people with a certain platform, do not have the kind of protection she does. And I thought it was good to see her make a point of that in a Twitter thread when she was talking about this very grim protest outside of her house last week.
And, there's lots of people who don't agree with everything J.K. Rowling says and does, but you'd have to say she's handling this, I use the phrase gallows humour, but actually, I mean, she's just retaining a sense of humour, and a lot of her critics seem to be denied that. I mean, she's saying in a most recent tweet, she says, here's my address again, a platform 9 3/4, King's Cross Station, to enter, run really fast, head first at the concrete wall between platforms 9 and 10. For those people who don't remember how we got here, it was a joke that started all this idea, what was she trying to remember? What was the word we used to give to women who had cervixes, or whatever it was she said?
Yes, this was in response to one of those articles that you see do the rounds every so often that referred to people who menstruate. That was this particular instance. You see these very unwieldy, kind of ungainly, dehumanising phrases used to refer to women because of the fact that trans ideology suggests that even men could menstruate according to their particular worldview. So she was taking the mick out of that. What's fascinating about J.K. Rowling, she said relatively little about this particular issue. There's been a couple of tweets like that, kind of poking fun at some of these aspects. She wrote an essay last summer which just laid out her views pretty reasonably, essentially said that she thought that trans people should have all the rights and dignity in the world, but the thing that concerns her is women-only spaces, effectively. That was all she said. It was so caveated in some respects, almost overly, you could say, in order to avoid the kinds of attacks she's got. And yet she's just come under sustained, horrendous attack ever since. So it's worth remembering that the thing that she's being demonised for is really the most mild kind of gender critical views imaginable. It's just because of the fact that such is a sort of stranglehold of this ideology over public discourse today that even that is enough to mark her out as a heretic, it seems like.